Masha Korpacheva is a California-based realtor and a member of the National Association of Realtors in Los Angeles. She's an advocate for selling and buying homes with soul and practicing mindfulness in real estate. With master's degrees in spiritual psychology and linguistics, Masha brings all of her skills to work with her clients. An intuit and empath, she has touched many lives with her outstanding ability to see beyond the visible and helping to come to better understanding of issues and their resolutions. An adventurous world traveler, from climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania to exploring the Galapagos Islands, Masha has a particular passion for the City of Angels. Having landed in this paradise and adopted it as her home, she's been sharing old Hollywood stories since 2007. This podcast is an invitation to feel and experience the souls of famous old Hollywood homes and to have an in-depth journey to the areas where they're located through interviews with longtime residents. Either you're a fan of old Hollywood in Los Angeles, planning to have a vacation, or, an even bigger step, considering a certain area for your future home. This is your opportunity to receive valuable information and insightful advice you won't find anywhere else. In the mood for California, feel the soul of old Hollywood.
Hello, and welcome to my podcast. Are you in the mood for California? Today, we'll explore and feel the regional farmers market, followed by an interview with wonderful Carl Bressler, who lives within walking distance from the market in Fairfax, Beverly area, and he will share with us what it feels like to live right in the middle of the city. And now, are you ready to feel the soul of farmers market? One of the biggest virtues of the City of Angels is its diversity. And there is no other place I can think of that embodies this quality better than the original farmers market on 3rd and Fairfax. LA can be a very intimidating city, especially if you just arrived and haven't made any friends yet. With your family in a different state, or even more so, a different country, the beginning of your life here can be pretty lonely. One thing you should always remember: this time is given to you to become your own best friend. Why not meet yourself at 3rd and Fairfax for a lovely breakfast on Sunday, quick lunch during your work break, or nice dinner after a long day? Once you start coming here over and over again, saying hi to people, seeing the same familiar faces, one day you will realize that you belong to this friendly community. This warm feeling will spread in your chest, and you will know that you own it. From now on, you will always have this feeling of belonging within you. The history of the market started in 1880, when Arthur Fremont Gilmore and his partner bought 2 dairy farms next to each other. Gilmore bought the land where the original farmers market is now located, and his partner bought the adjacent plot, nowadays known as the Grove. 10 years later, the partners split, and Gilmore took control over the 256-acre ranch, its dairy herd, and farmhands. When in 1905, Gilmore started drilling new wells for water in order to expand his dairy herd, he discovered oil, and the cows gave way to a field of oil derricks. Earl Bell Gilmore took over his father's business, and it was named Gilmore Oil Company. The younger Gilmore started midget car racing and brought professional football to Los Angeles. He also built Gilmore Field for the Hollywood Stars baseball team, which was owned by Bing Crosby, Barbara Stanwyck, and Cecil B. DeMille. By the time the Great Depression hit, large-scale drilling was no longer permitted as Los Angeles boundaries were now surrounding the property, which seemed to be doomed to remain vacant. Until Fred Beck and Roger Dalheim approached Gilmore with an idea to build a village at the corner of 3rd and Fairfax, where nearby farmers could park their trucks on the property for 50 cents per day to sell fresh produce to local residents. Thus, on July 14, 1934, Farmers Market was born. The idea turned out to be a hit, and by October 1934, farmers and merchants, including restaurants, grocers, and service providers, were moving into stalls with permanent storefronts. The new farmers market was so popular that its founders staged a celebration, the first Fall Festival. Nowadays, the market features more than 100 specialty shops, produce stands, food vendors, and sit-down restaurants, open every day and visited by an estimated 3 million people each year, approximately one-third being tourists. Vendors at the market speak about 23 different languages. If you look at the first clock tower, which now sits atop Starbucks and has been a symbol of the farmers market since 1948, you will see the iconic phrase, an idea, paying an homage to Fred Beck, Roger Dalheim, and the original 18 tenants who helped forever shape the corner of 3rd and Fairfax. So before you come up with an idea how to build your own community, you can always come to Farmers Market while enjoying your delicious meal and looking at various people passing by, trying to understand the essence of humanity and figuring out your own place in this world. You may be able to get a glimpse of a simple and yet such a comforting need to share food at a gathering place, being grateful for what you have in your life and embracing all the goodness that surrounds you. If you can see and feel it, you are definitely a part of it, and you will never ever feel alone again. And here we are. Welcome to Fairfax, Beverly. I'm so excited to have Carl Bressler here with me. Carl has spent the last 4 decades in Los Angeles, from the beach to Midtown, earning his keep as an actor, an agent, a producer, a restaurateur, an entrepreneur, investor, and a general entertainment business advisor. Carl will share with us what it feels like to live right in the middle of the city. Hello, Carl.
Hi, Maria.
How are you doing?
It's a good, beautiful Sunday in Los Angeles. Nothing could be better.
That's true. That's very true. I'm so happy to have you join me today for our conversation
Thank you.
about Fairfax, Beverly area, where you live. And it is considered to be one of the best places to live in California. Would you say it's a true statement?
I would say that it's sort of a blessed area because there's so many great things around it. And in it, you've got the Grove, you've got the park, you've got, the park right next to the Grove, you've got Farmers Market, and, you've got Beverly Boulevard, 3rd Street, Melrose. It's, there's so much going on. If you're not looking to be up the mountain or in Topanga or Malibu, there's really no better place to be because you can get to Hancock Park and Larchmont and downtown in minutes. And you can almost do the same going west side to Robertson and Beverly Hills, and Doheny. So it's kind of like perfect if you want to go down to the LA County Museum of Art, if you want to go see the Peterson Museum, if you want to walk around in There's so many parks here. It's good, and the farmers markets. So it's a good area.
Yes, yes, I know. It's a wonderful, wonderful area. And why did you choose to live in Fairfax, Beverly area? And what does it feel like to you to live here?
Well, to answer you, the best answer really is where was I before? And
Okay.
before I was living in the south part of Santa Monica on the beach in an area that's known as Ocean Park. And I was there for 18 years. And I was very lucky, very fortunate, lived in a very beautiful place on the top of a building, on the west side of the building, facing the ocean. So I had the ocean view.
Oh, wow.
When I was thinking about changing up my situation, one of the lessons that you definitely learn on the west side when you're in Santa Monica, west of Lincoln Boulevard, is that people will come to you because they want to be in that part of town. But when you get invitations to come out to dinner, to go to an event, to see some theater, to see whatever, movie, dance, whatever it is, if it's east of the 405, you have to leave by 5:30 in the afternoon to make an 8 o'clock engagement. It takes so long to get to the middle of town that by moving into the middle of town, I found myself 5, 10, 15 minutes away from everything. And if you don't feel like driving, it's super easy to get an Uber or a Lyft or, and it's like it's just the ease of getting around to various places. There's so many good restaurants. There's so many different, if you're feeling like a Hollywood day, there's so many different ways you can go visit Hollywood, depending on what part you want to be in. There's the Improv. There's it's just, there's just a lot up here. And so while the ocean is a wonderful place to be, and it's great to get to look at the ocean and to smell that air, being in this part of town, I ended up picking a building that allows me to face north. And so I look up at the Hollywood Hills and I have a view going from basically the hills of Brentwood and Bel Air all the way to almost downtown. I can see the observatory, the Griffith Observatory, and the Hollywood sign and all that stuff. So I guess you might say that I'm a rather view specific kind of person. If I'm not looking at the ocean, I want to look at the hills. I want to see all of LA. And I was lucky to find a place where I could do that. And I'm a what they call a limited partner in a restaurant called Jones Hollywood, which I've been involved with since the first day before we opened, when we wrote the checks to start the place in 1993. And so to get to Jones, which is on Santa Monica Boulevard, a block west of La Brea, I would have to leave my house at 5:30 or 6 to make dinner at 8. Now I can leave at 7:15 and be at Jones at 7:30. And I'm also a member of a club that's called the Soho House. And they have two places in town. One that's on 9200 Sunset on the roof of that building. And then they have another one that they took over that used to be a Pally House, which is on Holloway next to Barney's Beanery. And so those places I can get to in 15 minutes or less. And the other Soho House is downtown. It's called the Warehouse. And I can just go in the other direction from where I live and be there in 15 minutes. So it's kind of like I wanted to be closer to places I'm involved with. And I also wanted to enjoy a different group of people, because Santa Monica is full of people who are families and also people who are tourists. And while Hollywood certainly in the north part has that part, the tourist part covered, in my area of town, there's lots of people who are single or couples but aren't necessarily in the go to bed at 7, go to bed at 8. So it's, and a lot of people are very athletic. So if I want to get up in the morning and go to a gym with someone, or get up and take a long walk, or even go up to the canyons and walk around the reservoir, that's available here. And it's not something that I have to travel an hour and a half to get to do. I mean,
Yes.
it's a lucky situation to be so centrally located and to have so many different places to go. It's almost like it's hard to make food at home because there's so many different kinds of good food available so close.
Right, right. Well, I can hear from your description of the area where you live right now, first of all, how organized you are in your life and how clearly you understand what you need to have in your life, and what a smart move you made such a long time ago already to have moved to this area and to be so centrally located. and I can see how it must have affected the quality of your life.
I agree. You're correct. You see correctly. You understand what I'm saying.
Beautiful. So you're not just lucky, as you mentioned a couple of times. You're not just lucky, but it was a very smart move that you made. And well, it's wonderful that you're enjoying the city to the fullest. It's really, really wonderful.
Yes, there's a lot to offer, and I definitely did put myself in the middle of it, and it makes it easier to keep friendships that are in this part of town and east of here, because I have friends in Silver Lake and Eagle Rock and downtown. And quite frankly, I would only see them. I mean, during the pandemic, particularly, I would only see them on Zoom once in a great while. And now we can get together. I can go to them. They can get to me. I recently did a long raw vegan juice fast in San Diego that I wanted to do in a controlled environment at a place called the Optimum Health Institute. And at one point, I needed to come up to LA to get a booster shot and do some other stuff. And I took the train up from San Diego. And first of all, the train goes all the way along the coast. So a lot of it, you're seeing the ocean on the way up from San Diego. But secondly, the Union Station, it's very easy to get an Uber and be back in the Beverly Fairfax area within like 15 minutes.
Yes, that's true.
Again, so it's easy. I mean, it's farther from LAX than I was when I lived in Santa Monica at the beach, but it's closer to Burbank Airport, which also is a great airport to fly out of to most places that you want to go to if you're flying domestically, locally in the West Coast.
Yes, very true, very true. And being so centrally located and having so many friendships as you do, and being able to see your friends quite regularly. So, how would you describe the way it feels to live in Fairfax, Beverly area? Would you say it feels warm? Would you say it's a friendly area? How would you describe it, like as far as your feelings about it?
Well, I would say it is warm in the sense that a lot of the people live here for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is that they're building their lives here. A lot of people, like I'm living in an apartment now, but I used to own the place I lived in before, and I probably will own something again. But in the meanwhile, a lot of the people I know here, I like walking up the different streets, and sometimes I'll walk up to Santa Monica Boulevard, or I've walked up to Sunset and back, or whatever. And in the side streets, there's a lot of great homes that have been built. Some are Spanish, some are modern, some are even colonial type, like they'd be on the East Coast.
Right.
A lot of those are owned by people who live there, and they make their life there. So when you're eating in restaurants here, if you're eating in on Beverly at Tironi or Angelini, or if you're down at the restaurant called Jar, those people are locals and regulars that you see them all the time. At Jones, we've been open 28 years, so we now have the children of our original customers coming to have dinner and drinks at the bar.
Wow.
That's crazy. It's generational.
Yes.
But a lot of the places that have been, over 15 years in this part of town, I mean, even Cantor's Deli has been there forever, and people come all the time. So it's a part of town that feels like you could be in New York instead of Larchmont Village. You could be in the West Village.
Right.
And people have their favorite breakfast places. And, one of the things that happens in LA on the restaurant side is that a lot of places, even places that look nice and where the quality is high, they might start out undercapitalized, or they might start out in a bad time of circumstance, and they don't catch on and they don't last. So you do see some places being replaced either by another more of a brand place, or operators who are opening multiple restaurants or bars or stuff. But, you've also got all these people who've been chefs in LA for 30 years, like up on Highland and Melrose, the Osteria Mozza, that lady whose name's escaping me. She's a great chef.
Yes, that's a great restaurant. Yeah, I love Osteria Mozza.
She's been around forever. And even the guys who have John and Vinny's on Fairfax, and, even the bakery down on 3rd, the Magnolia Bakery. I mean, that's a great bakery. There's one in New York. So, and there's a bunch of hotels too, small and large. And some of the small hotels have great cafes in them. And some, and up in Hollywood, what's it called, Mama said, and then if you're feeling fancy, there's you're right off of. You can be in Beverly Hills and at the Peninsula or at the SLS. You can do all of that stuff. So, but generally, it feels like you have neighbors. It doesn't feel like you're in a corporate apartment building where people are coming and going and it's all transitory. So that's the other part I like about it, is that if I go to the farmers markets on Plumber Park or any of the other places, I'll generally see the same people every week. And there's the breakfast places, the Kings Road Cafe and Swingers, and it's like I know the people who run that place, both of those places, and I know the waiters by name because I've gone out to eat. And when people are in Pasadena or when they're at the beach and you're meeting them in town, they're happy to come to those places and they already know them. So it's like it's a comfortable place. It's a comfortable part of town to live in. I imagine that Culver City has become that way. But, it depends what you want to do. Once you get on Sunset Boulevard, you're bumping into more tourists because of the reputation of Sunset Boulevard. And a lot of the buildings that have been built and those hotels have been built for tourists because that's who stays there. So,
right.
You see people asking where the stars live. And if every now and then, if I'm wearing sunglasses, someone says, "Excuse me, are you famous?" Hilarious, because it's like, dude, if I was famous, you'd already know that, right?
That's right.
And they're like, yeah, but you could be, covering yourself. And I am. I'm actually, Taylor Swift. But don't tell anybody.
I will not tell anybody. Well, I really, really like your description of this area, because the way you described it, it made me see it as a whole little town that is located right in the middle of a huge town. And then once you are in this little town, the neighborhoods that, very comforting, and you see people that you have met multiple times. You go to all these wonderful restaurants and cafes, and it feels like you're at home. It feels that you're connected, and it feels like you found like your own ground in the middle of this large megapolis that we call Los Angeles.
I mean, these are places like the two I mentioned in breakfast, and also I'll have to get into the farmers market to talk to you about that, because like if I forgot my wallet or my phone and I walked into Swingers or the Kings Road Cafe and said, "Guys, I forgot my wallet and phone. Can I just eat and bring money tomorrow?" They'd feed me.
That's perfect. Wow. It's very unique. Absolutely. Yeah. Very unique.
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about when it's community. Farmers market is, I have to say, it's more than, and I like the Grove for what it offers, especially the movie theaters and the Apple Store. But the restaurants are okay. I mean, some of them are worth it, and some of them are more for tourists. But the farmers market is everywhere from Dupar's on the far, east side of farmers market to the fruit places to. There's a toy store, there's an incense store, there's multiple fruit places, there's a smoothie place, there's a barber shop, there's a Starbucks, there's, and Dupar's every weekend has a line out the door. I don't tend to eat there, but the people love it. And so you see the line, so they must be doing something right. And that's a place where all the waiters have been there since the 80s.
Yes.
And, but the farmers market, my favorite place there is Phil's Deli. And if I want a sandwich, there's a place called McGee's where they'll cut whatever you want. If you want any kind of a meat sandwich from turkey to pastrami to whatever, roast beef. And then the coffee corner is my coffee, where I get my coffee there.
Oh, okay. Coffee corner. Okay.
Yeah. It's like, a lot of people go these days to very fancy coffee places, and they sit there and they have their coffee and they open their laptop, and you can do that at the farmers market, but the people watching, it's like the only place where people sit at tables, community tables, and pass each other sections of newspapers.
Yes.
That's old school. It's lovely. It's great. And there's no one rushing you. And, sometimes you're sitting there and someone will come by and say, "Excuse me, where'd you get that?" And you point out the place. And so they know to go to Sushi A Go-Go, or they know to go to Moishi's for some lamb or some, kebab or shawarma, or, they see that I'm having French onion soup at Monsieur Marcel, and they're like, I want that. And so it's like, okay, and try the lobster bisque, but that place, the farmers market, which is from the 30s, really.
Yes.
I mean, they used to have a racetrack there. They used to race cars there. I mean, it's crazy. But that place is it's the epitome of community. It's exactly what you want.
Yes.
Because if you don't have a lot of money, you don't need to spend a lot of money to eat there and to eat well there. If you're flush and you're taking friends out or whatever, it's still more fun than lots of other kinds of places that promise to be fun, but really aren't. And most of the people working in these places own them. So they have pride of ownership in what they're offering you and their product and service. And that's something that we all in big box retail times, we lose that.
Yes, very true.
For me, the farmers market is the epitome of what LA is at its best. And now that the metros are coming in, they won't be at the farmers market, but they'll be less than 2 miles away. That gives the opportunity for people to travel back and forth. And there's more museums. There's the new motion picture museum, and there's more things to do. And it's just good for community, because if you give people the opportunity to walk places and to see different things and to share it with their friends and their families, what could be wrong? I mean, there's nothing better, really.
I agree 100%. And I really like how you say that it is the epitome of community when you describe farmers market. It is a very unique place for sure. And once you are there, like even if you came by yourself, you would never ever feel alone, because you always feel that you're part of this large community.
Because you are.
Yes.
You're participating, and showing up is half the job of being in community.
Yes. I so agree. Beautiful. I love your description of farmers market. It is one of my favorite places in LA too.
Cool.
Yeah. So let me ask you another question. And this question will be about your home. So I'm very curious what your home means to you. And maybe you can tell us a little bit, what is the heart of your home and where you prefer to spend most of your time?
Well, my home now is, I mentioned the view. So when I'm not, I have my bed position, so I wake up looking at mountains.
The best.
So I often sleep with the curtains open, because I'm on the top floor of the building I live in, and no one can see in, but I can see the view. So I'll walk out with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and I'll just sort of take in the view. And I get up early, so there's not a lot of traffic, and the air is fresh. But my home, I'm lucky to have collected some art. There's a great auction in Santa Monica called Santa Monica Auctions, run by a very sharp galleryist named Robert Berman, who's been selling art in Los Angeles since the early 80s. And he has amazing taste, and he brings together a lot of great artists, from contemporary artists, from depending on how the economy is. The worse the economy is, the better the art that's being sold at auction.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah, it's over at the Bergamot Station in Santa Monica, Bergamot.
Yes,
in fact, it's going to be, I think, next week in November. I think it's smauctions.com if you want to check it out.
Okay.
But anyway, so over the years, and during the years that I've owned businesses, done different things, I grew to appreciate books and art from my mother. And so I've collected certain artists, and I'm lucky to have high ceilings in the place where I live. So I have a lot of those oil paintings hung up on the walls. And then I have the view I mentioned. And then there's, I guess, the other two places are the kitchen and the bedroom. And I'm an oddball, because I set up my bedroom in the living room, because it's got the floor to ceiling windows and it faces the mountain. And I made my bedroom into a sort of a home office. But I have a big futon couch in it that's a very nice one that opens into a bed. And I have a 20-year-old son who lives now in Dallas. His name is Jordan Backer. And when I have Jordy with me, when I have the pleasure of his company, which I will later this month for Thanksgiving, then that futon opens up, and he's 6'6", so he takes up all of it, but he enjoys it. And then I I have him, he has the privacy of my bedroom for that, and we have a good time. I'm not much of a TV watcher, and I'm much more of a physical place person. So I don't like have it set up. If I want to watch something, I usually will either go to the theater to see it, or if it's something that's on television, I'll watch it on my computer. And I'm set up portably with Wi-Fi, so I can sit anywhere in my house to do that. It doesn't matter. But what my house is really, it doesn't have a lot of pictures of people in it. And a lot of the books that I had on big bookshelves in my last place. Those books are in storage or have been given to the library so other people can read them. But I tend to just in home rest and meditate, enjoy the view, enjoy a good cup of coffee made from beans that I grind, and then I'm out in the world. I think in the past I've had times where from car accidents, different things, where I was sort of down for the count for a while. When I got back on my feet, that it made me more committed to making sure that I used every day well, and that I don't. I don't know if you ever heard the expression "I'll sleep when I'm dead." But,
I did, yes.
but I like that expression, and so my house is the place where I prepare myself to go out in the world and see what's going on, whether it's doing some business things or whether I'm catching some art or a friend's performance of some kind, or whether I'm going to someplace I haven't been, because in LA, I don't care how many decades you live here, there's always something you haven't seen. And it could be 2 blocks away. But I'm, at this point, I'm single. So should I be in relationship, I have a feeling then home becomes more important when you're sharing it with someone. So for now, it's my safe place, and it's got a lot of beauty in it. And that's pretty lucky. I mean, I keep saying I'm lucky, but I mean, I've worked hard to be lucky. But,
Yes.
even with that, not everybody gets what they deserve in a good sense. So you got to stay grateful and remember that things can change in an instant, and count your blessings, because, we are living, all of us, anybody who's listening to this, when you put it up, is probably also they're living in a place where one way or another, they're hopefully not food insecure and they have a roof over their head, or even if they don't have a roof over their head at this moment in time, they know that they will eat again, and that they know that they'll live to fight another day.
Yes.
And that's not the case in some of the places I've been in the world. So, it can, for everything that people complain about, whatever is going on with traffic or crime or whatever ails you, this is a place where you can create a future from getting determined and disciplining yourself in the present. And I don't take that for granted.
Wow, I can see that, Carl. And the way it sounds, your description of your home is a very safe place with beautiful views, the place where you come to, regenerate yourself, to prepare to be out in the world and meeting with all this, wonderful people that you meet, being, in the middle of the city. It sounds like you really put a lot of work and a lot of thinking, into your life, and what, you have been doing up until now, that you have created all of this. So it's really, really wonderful, and I can appreciate that, and thank you so much for sharing all of this. And it's such a great example, of a man who knows exactly what he's doing. It's really, really wonderful.
Well, thank you for caring enough to ask me to join you today, and thank you for your thoughtful questions and your sincere interest. And I think that you're adding to the city of LA by wanting to bring people into your show, to your podcast, to make sure that people understand all the things there are to do and ways to live here, and to take advantage of those things, and to share with you, so your listeners can look through my eyes and see what I see, and any of it that's good for them, they can figure out maybe a little bit better how to go get it. And that's great. That's a pleasure to do. It's a good use of my time in support of your efforts.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you so much. Yes, I absolutely love Los Angeles and various neighborhoods. And I really want people to see, the spirit of Los Angeles, all these wonderful places and absolutely amazing people who live here, who make this place so wonderful.
Well, you also create a time capsule, and when you while it's audio, not video, but at the same time, still, this is how life is in Los Angeles at the end of October in 2022.
Yes, very true. Well, thank you once again, Carl, and I really appreciate you joining me for our conversation, and continue enjoying your life to the fullest.
Sweet. Thank you for having me. My honor to be here today.
Thank you, Carl. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed experiencing the regional farmers market and getting a feel of Fairfax Beverly area with our special guest, Carl Bressler. Please press the like button, follow, and share your feedback for the podcast. Your time and support are greatly appreciated. Next time, we are traveling to Laurel Canyon and we'll find out some interesting details about this very unique area. See you there!
In the mood for California, feel the soul of Old Hollywood.